as you were talking about the concept of herd mentality, I was thinking about...
herd mechanics. Keep going.
Okay, mechanics. So in a marriage, if you have a woman who has kind of come to the realization that she should not be the head. By God's design, he did not create that to be the way it is. But her husband hasn't really been awakened to that idea yet.
Oh, yeah, that's rough.
But your concept of whoever speaks the most in a setting is the leader. It makes me wonder if outside of praying for your husband, making it your effort to ask pointed questions at dinner or in family settings where he then is drawn out to speak, even if it's about something that he's just interested in, not necessarily scripture, to draw him out as leader would be maybe an illustration of our role as we're the helpers or the silent supporters or the ones who stand to the side.
Yeah. I had a couple of thoughts on that, but I think the most direct is that I don't think there are many men who, if the girl that they fell in love with says, "So tell me again about that news story about East Palestine and the stuff that blew up over there," even if you're really not interested in it yourself, he's going to be like, "Oh, I'm the expert. I get to talk now."
Well,
and that's his heart. So he's kind of built to do, And so whatever you ask him about, as long as it's not like, "How are you feeling?" Like that's a hard question. I have to think about that one as a man. I don't know how I'm feeling as a man. It will take me some time to figure that out. I can tell you, and I'll give a lot of reasons that you might get to it if you just asked about, what news I was watching at, or, what books I read today, that kind of thing.
Deferring to the man is a way of showing them respect, and it helps them to come out of their shell quite a bit.
Yeah.
And also, we were talking about the zeal of man when he becomes when he does grab hold of this idea of headship, and another important way to respect him through that is to assume the best, rather than assume the worst.
Here's a thought. Like, I don't know. You'd have to be careful with this, and you wouldn't want to do it in such a way that you're deceiving your men. But coming to dinner where Bible study doesn't happen, and after dinner saying, I was reading the other day and I just didn't understand what I read. Here it is. What do you think that means? And just asking him that.
Absolutely.
I mean, he might be like, "Jesus isn't God. This is stupid stuff." Well, then you're probably not going to get a Bible study going at your house. But if he is like in any way, even like kind of mediocrely laissez-faire, he's going to be like, "Well, it probably means this. Well, that's interesting." Oh. And he'll move on. And like, you could just feed him Bible verses every night.
Absolutely.
Just ask him to explain them to you, right? So that's the way to go. I want to emphasize that the man's going to be the head. So the principle that, if you're in a room, whoever talks the most is the head isn't like 100% diagnostic. It's like if you're in a group of guys for an hour and a half and one of them does all the talking, then he's clearly who everyone's following. Okay? That doesn't mean that just because you have a husband at home watching TV and his wife then is therefore talking all the time at him and he's ignoring her, that she's the head. I would suggest to you the TV's the head at that point. But the man is in charge of the TV where he is. He's usually not. If he has to give the remote to her, he's going to have another TV somewhere. Right? Because the man's not going to not be the head of himself. And so he's going to end up being the head of his wife, even if it's through absentee of filling the role.
Right.
And that itself is his own thing that's modeled and seen. And all the kids are going to know it.
Yeah.
They're all going to know it intuitively, instinctively. And so to just, rather than say, like, how do we get us back to where men are the heads? No, realize the men are the heads now. They're not going to stop. But because they're not doing the job, what they're passing on is not what we want to pass on. You know? So
that's good clarification.
Yeah. And I base that on Genesis 3, by the way. He will rule
Absolutely.
over you. Like that you can, whatever you want to do, he's still going to be the one you follow. You won't be able to help yourself.
Right.